what this guide is really showing you is what NAR has left in the tank. The only thing NAR has left in the tank is
MLS?
MLS. This is Byron, Lazine, and Nicole White, and you are tuned into episode 338 of The Real Word.
Word is up.
Putting this one out maybe a little bit later in the day than normally expected on a Tuesday.
Maybe, but I'm happy you're here.
Happy to be in the Connecticut studio. Thoughts are definitely going out to everybody down in Florida, where I basically escaped. I feel like
you escaped
saying that right now out loud.
Do you feel
like
guilty?
I do. I feel very guilty.
No, I think you
that.
listened. I think if you can go, I mean, you and I were looking at plane flights. I mean, they're not really making it very easy to actually get out in terms of like cost
when you.
I know.
Everybody's trying to do the same thing.
I know. But again,
difficult.
I mean, if you were not able to go, we are thinking of you. So
100%.
Yeah.
Here on The Real Word, in the not so real world, the real estate world, of all the different things we've got going on, we do have two topics that are worth discussing and worth us paying attention to see where they go. NAR came out with these seller guides. There's been a lot of commentary since the last pod around the seller guides. We talked about the buyer guides.
Right.
So they're on this big campaign, public-facing campaign to consumers. We're going to talk about one of the key elements of the seller guide that they put out there, and there's been other commentary around this, as well as that law professor from the University of Buffalo.
She's been getting a lot of airtime, man.
Tanya Monestier.
Look at her. She's got a whole new headshot now.
You want to put it? We were commenting on the glasses pre-show.
She was cute.
Are the glasses fake or real? That's what I want to know.
I'm sure she's using them for something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a reason they're on, for sure. So she came up with a contract that has the buyer's interest in mind. We'll break it down because we've broken down a lot of her commentary and contracts. I think it's very interesting. Maybe you have a contract right now that you like, don't like. We're going to break it down so you know what you need to know about that. All right. So first, Real Estate News put out the headline that there's been multiple green screens. We've seen Ricky Caruth green screen it. We've seen Jared James green screen
People
it.
are they're learning how to do it quite well.
Do green scrning?
No, me? What?
No, I'm saying learn what? How to do
Yes, to do the green screen. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like, I'm not, but I feel like everyone is now.
Well, BAMX members are getting green screen materials, so they
should be doing it.
But this particular headline was captured multiple times. NAR tells sellers they don't have to list on the MLS. Why that is such a kind of a brilliant headline by Real Estate News, catchy topic, is because clear cooperation has been in discussion. We've discussed it. It's been in discussion really since the rule came into effect years ago. And it's always a big debate. Right now, like even on Inman, I saw Robert Revkin has a self-published article. He's pushing hard, Compass CEO, against clear cooperation, wants to do away with the rule. Glenn Kelman, he's come out and said this is big brokerages want this. It's going to hurt everybody else. It doesn't give equal opportunity. So we've gone through the debate on clear cooperation. And that's why this is an interesting statement in the seller guide from NAR. It's almost like saying, hey, to me, it's like, hey, remember that this exists.
Well, again, because
this isn't new.
Right, because I feel, well, I mean, let's be honest, though. I mean, it feels like we're having to do that with everything. You know, like everything was always negotiable, but now we have to like remind them every other line that everything is negotiable.
Right. It's like you have to say what's already existed.
Right. So, I mean, fine. So
Jared James in his green screen said, you know, if you're going to have a seller sign, so before we play the Jared clip, I'll say this. In the multiple listing service consumer guide, okay, you know, it goes through what an MLS is, what does the MLS provide, so you understand the value as a consumer.
Right.
As a buyer, how can an MLS help me buy a home? As a seller, how can the MLS help me sell the home? That section says MLSs are most trusted source for real estate data because their information is verified by real estate professionals. Listing on an MLS will help a seller reach the largest pool of buyers and potentially attract the best offer. So that's, you know, basic and true. It's the largest pool of buyers because of the outreach of the MLS with
Correct.
the IDX feed. And I think most sellers are going to look at what the MLS does and say, yeah, I can get the highest offer by reaching the widest. And that's where we've always landed on that, even though we're kind of in the seller choice category.
Right.
Now, the next question on the consumer guide is, am I required to market my home through an MLS? No.
No.
Period. You should discuss the pros and cons with your agent. If you decide to have your agent not list your home on an MLS, you may be asked to sign a document verifying that you, as the seller, have made this choice. You actually brought upstairs
our smart MLS.
This is our MLS here.
Yep.
In the state of Connecticut, the state that I graciously escaped to here in the last 24 hours.
I mean, you do have a home here. It's not like,
I do.
Yeah.
And this does what that is saying. This has been around for years, right?
Correct.
So you've been able to do that, which is basically a form. You may have one in your MLS, seller instruction to withhold listing from MLS.
Yeah,
and
you
so
still have to send it to the MLS.
You have to send this form to the MLS
And
because
the
you're a
listing
member.
agreement. And the listing agreement.
And because our association reports to the mothership.
Right.
You know.
Right, because then it says later, well, I mean, it goes in pretty depth here about, you're not going to be able to get 17,000 agents, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. But your days on market.
Which isn't that number out there? I think it's 18,000 now. But
Could
anyways, you
could take it up with them.
The clear cooperation rule impacts every single NAR member.
Right.
And our association, our MLS are in that tie-in. Our association, MLS, NAR are all tied in. Like clear cooperation reads like this. Section 1.01 clear cooperation. Within 1 business day of marketing a property to the public, the listing broker must submit the listing to the MLS for cooperation with other MLS participants. Public marketing includes, but is not limited to, flyers displayed in windows, yard signs, digital marketing on public-facing websites, brokerage website displays, including IDX and VOW, digital communications marketing, email blasts, multi-brokerage listing sharing networks, and applications available to the general public. Like an application available to the general public would be Facebook. You pull up Facebook 5 minutes ago before we start the show.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait a minute, there's a Compass agent in our local market, to not be named. We love you, John. That put a listing on Facebook.
Correct.
That is not on the MLS.
Correct.
So clearly had this form signed.
Are you a hope?
But then didn't follow clear cooperation as a rule.
Based on what it's saying, yes.
Section 1.3, except listings. The seller refuses to permit the listing to be disseminated by the service, which is this here. The participant then may take the listing office exclusive, and such listing shall be filed with the service, but not disseminated to the participants. So, you can go office exclusive, but Facebook is breaking the clear cooperation, the public application. Okay,
Correct.
so that's what this whole clear cooperation thing is like.
Yeah, I guess in the past when I've had agents that they're off market, it's usually like an email, or they'll like text, like, hey, I have this listing on this is the address.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the actual way the rule is written is you can only do that in office. So Ricky Caruth's clip he was very confused, because it is a little confusing if you don't get in the weeds on this. Jared James' clip, which we'll play now.
So this is interesting. NAR, the National Association of Realtors, has come out and told sellers they don't have to list their house on the MLS. NAR is on a campaign right now where they are trying to educate consumers, and there is a big debate going on in our industry about this thing called clear cooperation, which is a rule that's in place that says that an agent of brokerage has to put a listing on the MLS within 1 day of publicly marketing the property. And there's this debate. There's companies and brands and agents and everybody. Some think that that is the right way to do things. some people think that the seller should have choice. If they don't want it in the MLS, they don't have to. And I usually am very much a choice person, but to me, this kind of solves the debate. It's the best of both worlds. There is an advantage to putting a house on the MLS and having maximum exposure, but I also believe a seller should have a choice on what they want to do.
So he says this is the best of both worlds, which,
Right.
I mean, and I love Jared. I'm probably going to see him Friday, by the way. Shout out to Jared. I know you always make fun of me when you always make fun of me when I have a dinner with Jared.
Your little bromance. Well, because you guys do it for like a work day, like it's an 8-hour event.
No, that's complete fake misinformation. What's the big word they use now? Misinformation.
Fake. It's not fake
It's changed
news.
from fake news to misinformation.
Misinformation.
That is misinformation on the pod.
Okie dokie. I'm gonna get I'm gonna be like a PI on Friday.
Well, I'll give you the timestamps. You can put an Apple tag on me.
I will.
See how long I stay in New Haven for. So, news for Jared. I'll say this to him on Friday when I see him, or he'll watch the pod and he'll bring it up. Be like, dude, why are you blasting me on your pod?
We're not blasting. Are you blasting him?
No, I'm not blasting. But the rules already exist because he's saying this is the best. This is the best solution. This is the best of both worlds because at his core, and him and I have had this off-camera discussion. I'm not sharing it, or we've probably even had it on camera. I can't remember. But at his core, he believes in choice.
Of course.
But
Who the hell wouldn't?
But then he looks at the argument, for those that are in favor of clear cooperation, and the points are, valid. If you look at
so what it's
to
an
him,
agent
they're
being
valid.
like, it's not fair that I'm not your friend,
So,
John, on Facebook, so I didn't find out about this listing.
well, no, where the brokers are taking this,
Yeah.
that are in favor of clear cooperation, is that you don't. Some buyers won't get access to all the listings. It's not fair. It's
Right.
not
So they're saying
equal.
it's not fair.
Well, they're not. But I'm not saying. Who
As the
cares if
buyer-
an agent says it's not fair for them? I'm saying for the buyers. Okay, so that's what you're saying.
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
consumer.
Like the buyer's
Okay.
agent saying now I'm not your friend on Facebook, John. So
Yeah.
since I'm not your friend or you and I have never done a deal together, doesn't mean that I don't have a buyer at that price point. You haven't notified me of this listing.
What value does an MLS provide? This is in the consumer guide. MLSs allow real estate professionals to see, share, promote homes for sale so they can be found by the largest pool of potential buyers. MLSs
sense.
provide the most accurate, reliable, and detailed information about properties, both that have sold and are for sale, including listing price, address, features, disclosures, and square footage. MLSs also help promote fair housing and equal opportunity by giving real estate professionals and their clients access to consistent information. Now, clients, because of the IDX feeds and, in particular the portals, the way they've opened it up, have been able to get, consistent information to some degree, but not to the same degree of being an MLS holder, a license
Well,
holder.
I looked at that though, and that listing is not on realtor.com. So it is pretty it's not overly vibrant of a listing on realtor.com.
Which listing are you talking about?
We're talking
now?
about the one that's off market right now.
No, the one that here in
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that one is breaking the rule basically, but
Yeah, but he's not on realtor.com. It's not listed. It's not on the market on there. It's not on the market on there.
I know, but he put it on Facebook,
Correct. No, I hear
which
you.
is breaking clear cooperation.
For
is what
sure,
I'm saying.
but what I'm saying though too is that if it's not on there, they're really not
Now,
getting that much information. It
I
is
understand.
really
Yeah,
being
there's
fed by the
there's
MLS. Yeah,
Right, there's a lack of information
for
there.
sure.
I want to be clear that, and you know where I stand on it. I think that clear cooperation, if a seller were to sign this but say, I think that you're the greatest Facebook marketer of all time, I want you to just market the heck out of Facebook, that they should be able to sign whatever direction they want. I believe in complete freedom of choice from the seller.
100%.
So, and listen, I'm going to continue to get beat up to some degree for that because of this. People are going to hang on, the fact that fair housing, equal opportunity, you're hiding information because what you're saying is, okay, that's on Facebook. Well, if you're not a Facebook friend with him,
Right.
If you're not in his network, basically, and you're searching for homes on realtor.com,
I'm not seeing it. But
You're
then
not
I
gonna
hear
see
that
that.
my friend Sue bought the house.
Right.
Because her agent did know him.
right? Her
Now I'm going to
agent
be
sent me-
like, Nicole, you suck.
yeah.
You don't have any friends.
You have no
No
Facebook friends.
friends.
I looked you up on Facebook. You have 300 friends.
Yeah, you
and
suck.
They all live in.
You are a terrible like networker. Yeah.
So interesting. On the bottom of this MLS guide, the consumer guide, how do I access MLS information? Because I just made the point that, like, as a buyer, do you really have that statement they put up there, like, their clients can access consistent information? Then now, how do I access MLS information? Many MLSs share data with websites that consumers can access. Okay, but the consumer experience on Zillow or Realtor.com is much different than an agent who knows how to navigate
Correct.
the MLS.
Right.
And the depth of information that you can pull
Right.
out of an MLS.
For sure.
And then your ability to do that on one of the portals. If you are a buyer, your agent will provide you with MLS property listings that may meet your criteria for both buyer and seller. When you work with an agent who has access to the MLS, you can discuss how the MLS can benefit you. Still, you're not fully getting access, okay? So, you know, the question is, they're kind of skirting around that answer. How do I access MLS information? Well, they're basically saying, you know, go to your agent. It's kind of that old school gatekeeper. Like, eventually, and this is where...
Well, I mean, there's portals. I mean, you can get on, like, you can have a MLS portal. Like, I can set you up on a search. No,
you don't get full access, you know? So, the point here, you know, like, they're saying MLS is the most trusted source. Using an MLS allows your agent to access. What this guide is really showing you is what NAR has left in the tank. The only thing NAR has left in the tank is
MLS.
That is it.
Yeah.
The only power over you, the agent, the only value over you, the agent, the only real, now, I guess, influence they have with consumer is MLS. It's their hand in the MLS pot. And some may argue, hey, they're kind of like keeping agent as gatekeeper. That's old way of thinking. That's not going to last. We've already seen that over the last 20 years that, you know, what is Zillow's word? I heard it last week when I was at Zillow. Shine the light on it. Shine the light on it. They always say that.
Shine the light on it?
It
reminds me of like Romper Room. Like when you're like looking through the mirror, like I see Byron, I see Haley, like shine the light on it.
Zillow's been saying it for years. Somebody else in my past used to say that phrase.
Really?
So it pains me to say it because
it would pain me to say it.
It's not a great phrase, but
shine the light.
What they're saying is like,
isn't that a song? Shine the light. Isn't that like shine the light?
I'll play it, Haley.
Yes, it's what's his name?
But what they're saying is consumers should have every bit of information that you have.
Yeah.
Right. And so now, if consumers should also have every bit of information, I guess the ultimate question still remains: should they have ultimate choice, or should they be constricted, by these MLS rules, or should they have choice to sign something? And my point about Jared is like this already exists.
Well, we already have. I feel like we already have the consumers so rallied up with all of these lawsuits to then tell them like, nope. Sorry, like we're going to list with you or you're going to list with me, but like I can't market you. I don't know. Anyway.
When they have the other one, they came out with the seller concessions guide.
Yeah.
At the very bottom, how do I know what option is best for me? When you work with an agent who is a realtor, you are working with a professional guided by ethical duties under Realtor Code of Ethics, including the pledge to protect and promote the interests of their clients. NAR is leaning into the pledge of, hey, I work with you. I owe you all these responsibilities.
As a realtor, though.
As a realtor.
Yeah.
And so they're leaning into that pledge. If you're a realtor, I'd lead into it as well. When somebody's like, hey, I'm going to go to the listing agent. Hey, they have a pledge that they've,
taken with the seller,
that they're going to try to screw you over.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say screw you over, but their job is to try to get the seller the most money.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not screwing anyone over.
No, my point is you get screwed in that deal. Like
potentially. I mean, if you agree to buy it for that price.
Their pledge with their seller is that their seller overwhelmingly wins, which means you potentially lose.
Well, depending on how you look at it,
And
correct.
so-
But if somebody really wants the house and willing
So
to
if you
pay
want to
for
go
it,
direct to the listing agent, just
Yeah.
know that that's the pledge.
for sure.
And when you've never signed anything with them and you guys are doing the flirt of, oh, I really want this house, you're giving them free information
The flirt.
that they're going to hand over to the seller and put you at a disadvantage. But up until time of signing with them, they're going to be just freeloading that information over to the seller, memory banking it, and using it
Right.
to put you in a position that maybe you don't want to be in, and maybe a buyer agent could have helped you avoid. So, all right, let's move over to
We're back.
Tanya.
We're back to Tanya. Yep.
Yeah, so Tanya is the law professor from the University of Buffalo who's had a lot of input on the forms. She created a sample form that makes clear that the buyer is on the hook for buyer broker compensation so long as they successfully close the deal. But she does outline other ways the buyer
Options.
agent can be compensated. Now, she said that this basically is like 90% of the way there because she wanted this to be used by the most agents possible.
Right.
Meaning she's on the DOJ side that this thing completely gets decoupled. What she's saying is she acknowledges that there are still listing brokers
Yeah.
that are offering compensation. She doesn't believe in that.
Right.
DOJ doesn't believe
Yep.
in that. Many others, brokers in the industry obviously don't believe that. We've covered that at length. So she's saying this form represents what the reality is right now. That's kind of been my argument against everybody who's like decoupling doesn't exist. It's like, well, it does exist.
Right.
Decoupling, offering compensation doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Well, it does
Right.
actually exist. You may not choose not to have
Yeah.
that business model, but it does actually exist. Okay, so you've got parties, you've got buyers, property criteria. These are all normal. Length of agreement. We'll have this on the screen so you can follow along. The length of agreement. Now in hers, no longer than 90 days. That's basically acquiescing to what California has done. There's not many other. Maybe I'm confused on that, but let me know if your MLS is doing the 90-day thing. We're not doing the 90. We haven't seen the 90-day thing.
I haven't seen shit, no.
thing. You haven't seen a buyer agreement?
No, I mean, I've seen a buyer agreement, but
Not
not
the
restricting me.
Not restricting the 90
No.
day.
I mean, I like options too.
So C is length of agreement, no longer than 90 days. So it ends somewhere in the 90-day period. D is buyer agrees to exclusive relationship. We all understand what exclusive means. But E completely cancels out C and the entire agreement no matter what.
And you're done.
Buyer or broker may cancel this agreement at any time.
Right.
Unless buyer has signed a contract to purchase property.
At least it says that.
The party wishing to cancel must let the other party know of the cancellation in writing. Okay, so I've said this since I've been in the industry. These contracts mean absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
Listing agreements might mean a little bit more, but ultimately if a seller wants out and they call your broker and they grind your broker down on the phone for 2 hours, they're getting out of that listing agreement.
Well, right. I mean, who wants to now you have to work together after
Right.
you've just ripped me apart?
And so these contracts have never meant a thing.
Right.
So why make them today when I was escaping
Yeah. Florida?
I'm in the airport and there's two lines. There's Sky Priority and then there's I guess general line, whatever. So there's
You don't even know what the line's called because you've never taken it.
no, I'm sure I have. Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know what Sky Priority
You have
is.
two lines. All right, so my ticket's the Sky Priority.
Right.
So I go into the Sky Priority line.
Does your
Now,
family have Sky Priority as well?
Well, I sent them off because I got to check the bag.
Okay.
So they go through TSA. The other line is enormous. Sky Priority is also big, but not as big.
Okay.
Okay. So
There's lots of
anyways,
people. Yeah.
I'm standing in Sky Priority and I'm seeing that line move very fast. It seems it's
You mean the line that we don't know the name to?
the general line. I'm calling
okay.
it the general
Okay.
baggage drop off line, whatever
Okay.
you call. So Then
Now you want it
I'm
on
on my
that side?
phone though, because I'm getting a little antsy. I'm like 15 minutes away from boarding time. I'm gonna get through with clear. I'm not worried about getting through, but I got to get this bag out of here. So I'm on my phone, kind of just looking at stuff, and then somebody comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, I don't know why you're standing in this line. This line, it moves so much faster." He like worked for Delta. And I was like, well, I don't know why you guys call this a priority if you're not making it a priority.
Oh, boy. So you were nice.
So I just kind of looked up and I was just like, first thing I said,
what did he say?
He's like, well, just get in this line. I'm like, all right, I'm going to
Did
get in
he
this
say
line.
why?
Well, I mean, it was moving faster, but he said it in a way is like, I don't know why you are standing over here.
Because it says priority.
Because he noticed that I already put the tag on my
so
bag.
you're just literally handing it off. Okay.
But he was kind of like calling me out like, hey, idiot, I don't know why you're doing that.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, I don't know why you would call this a priority. If it is the last thing from a priority, this is clearly the priority.
I'm sure the general, though, they probably had like 9 people working over there.
And so my point about going back to this is like, I don't know why we're making such a big deal about these forms if they're actually not a big deal.
Right. Yeah.
Like we're making such an extreme.
Oh, that's how we got there?
That's how we got there. Like it's a priority line, but it is not a priority. These forms are so like, don't make the forms more than they are.
Right.
Like these forms are so important, must be signed. Very important.
Very
now.
important.
Super, but cancel at any time.
Yeah.
Either party doesn't mean anything.
And you just need it in writing. Like I texted you last night while I was drunk saying I didn't want to work with you anymore.
Right.
Done.
Over.
Oh, we're all
See
done.
you later.
Yeah. Now I'm going to buy a house tomorrow.
Buying a house at lunchtime. Met this guy last night. It was great. They don't mean anything. Your trust, the value that you bring to your client means everything. And this is why agents were getting these buyer broker forms signed when the deal was being put together, not the 3 months that they were actually shopping, because it was about that trust and that relationship and that loyalty.
Well, again, if either one of us can cancel at any time,
what's the point of signing it?
Like it
doesn't mean anything.
It's so silly.
So,
maybe I want to ghost you too, you know?
An attorney may completely disagree with me on that,
obviously.
but if you have this cancellation at any time, really, like, what is the point?
Yeah.
Now, here's an interesting part. Buyers agree to pay broker commission. And so you have percent or flat fee, but then you have examples.
They give you examples. Yep. You don't know.
As if everyday people can't put 3%, 2%, 1% into their calculator.
I know. They probably don't go to dinner either and leave a 25% tip or anything.
Yeah. This is very, but it's nice, I guess, if you've never had basic math. They didn't really teach 1%, 2%, 3% in school. Not the school I went to anyway.
I'm so sorry. Did you even go to school?
Yeah.
Like, did you show up?
All right, moving on.
Were you listening? They went over 1, 2, 3, 4. You're silly.
Buyer may owe commission after the contract expired. Obviously, if they're under contract, this contract could expire. And so they owe the commission only upon closing. Broker will not receive additional compensation that exceeds the specified amount. Now, seller or seller's broker may contribute to broker's commission. So this is the part that she put in there to acknowledge the rules that exist today.
Currently.
Thank you. But she's like doing it, but she doesn't like it. Buyer may request concessions to help buyer commission. So section 3, duties and disclosures, deal honestly and fairly, account for all funds. These are like general things that like the oath and going back to that kind of stuff. Showing all properties, relevant properties. And so this is where the clear cooperation
It's 3
debate.
pages. How do you feel about that? You're all right with 3?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of 3. I think ours is 3.
I don't even know.
Yeah, it's 3.
I feel like most are.
I love a 1 page, especially if I can cancel any time.
I think you could. I feel like the font is pretty large. I feel like you could change it. Do you remember when you were in high school? So you're way too young. But remember, you still had to like type and print out your paper. You must have had to print out papers. And had to be
on
double
a typewriter? I ain't that freaking
No,
old.
on the computer.
Oh, okay.
Had to be like double spaced, but it had to be like 20 pages long. But there was like a certain kind of font that made it get to 20 pages when you were really at 10. You know?
I did that in college.
So Jill, Jill from BAM.
Yeah.
She sat next to me in computer class.
Yeah. I mean, this isn't computer. This is like English class. All of them. There's a certain font that like Times New Roman. Like if you
Times New Roman. That's like computer class.
If you changed it from Times New Roman to this font, it made your paper like 5 pages longer because of the font.
Shout out to Jill, our creative director at BAM. Jill at nowbam.com if you don't have your BAM Mania tickets.
I'm like, well, you don't have a poor thing. You're going to harass her.
She sat next to me in computer class and I just said printo.
Yeah.
We'll print two.
Well, did you at least
Jill.
keep your hands on the home bar? Is that what it's called?
I don't know.
The home row.
I
Home
wasn't
row.
doing much.
Home row.
Broker, going back here
Here we are.
to the reason why I guess I am in real estate, because I wasn't paying attention in school. Broker will show buyer all relevant properties. Going back to that clear cooperation, if you don't have access to all the relevant properties, you can't show your buyer all the relevant properties. That's the argument there. Broker represents other potential buyers. Broker will disclose compensation received from third parties. Buyer must consent to dual or designated agency. Of course, there's another form that they're going to sign there for that. So,
Right.
All right, that's the sample form that the professor from the great University of Buffalo. Is University of Buffalo known as a great place?
I don't know. It sounds pretty cold to me.
Yeah. She's come out with that. So there you go. That's your news as it relates to forms and what's going on with NAR here for the week on The Real Word. We'll have another episode next week, and then next Friday we will see you at BAM Mania. Nicole, are you booked officially with the tickets?
I have my tickets.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Plane tickets I'm talking about.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
So Nicole,
Jill, she's also a travel agent.
travel agent. She's a travel agent. She's a computer. I don't know. Homework giver.
Everything.
She
She
used to do
just
my homework
does
in computer.
everything.
She does everything for BAM. A lot of the stuff, a lot of the emails and stuff you see at BAM. She works on a lot of different things. If you don't have your tickets,
She'll
to
be there
BAM,
too. You get to try it, Jill.
Jill will be there. She's got a lot of work to do between next week and a half. If you don't have your tickets, go to bammania.com. Especially if you're a BAMX member and trying to figure out what your discount is and all of that, and getting your last minute ticket.
Wait, so
Go to
Thursday
Jill at Now
is
BAM.
just the VIP. So if they're not,
Yeah, Thursday's VIP, which is sold out.
okay. Oh, okay.
Friday's general admission. Way better than that general line, although the general line was great. The main day event is the 18th. We have a pre-party on the 17th for everybody. We have an after party on the 18th for everybody. It's going to be amazing.
Sounds like a lot of partying.
A lot of learning, a lot of releasing the energy of learning. You know, just
Putting
like
a light on it.
putting
Shine
a
a light.
putting a light
Shine
on
a
it.
light.
All right, that's it. That is enough. Keep it real, guys. We'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
August 17th approaching, it is more important than ever for agents to keep their clients, not just for the transaction, but for life. So I believe so much in what Reminder Media is doing. They're creating content that allows you to stay in front of your sphere of influence, the clients that you've transacted with in the past, so that they think of you first when they have a referral, when they have another transaction. A lot of people send a just sold or a just closed realtor talk mail. Reminder Media supports agents like Nicole, my co-host on The Real Word, in building out an authentic magazine where you can advertise your own properties. Here's an example of our award-winning luxury new development that we have in Connecticut. Put it right on the back and put in a whole bunch of relevant information. You can build out the content inside of your magazine and send it to maybe people you're following up with to get a listing, or people who are in your database right now who know you but might just forget about you because you're mixing in with all the postcards from the other agents. Reminder Media keeps you top of mind with the people that you want as clients for life. That's why we believe in so much of how they're helping agents just like you stand out. Go to remindermedia.com/BAM sample. Remindermedia.com/BAM sample today to get your sample and start reminding your clients exactly who you are today. At BAMX, we listen to what real estate professionals want and need. That's why our platform is filled with sought-after courses, content, and tactical assets for your business. And that's why we launched BAMX in a box with templates and scripts done for you, delivered each Friday. The best part? It's not coming from panel pontificators who bought their followers and don't sell any real estate. It's coming from top agents, team leaders, and content creators in the industry. It's education that actually shows you how to do what you need in today's market. And now it includes editable templates and scripts so you can easily deliver that knowledge to your database. Every day, we continue to add more content into BAMX, into our private Facebook community, content that works, content that our members have exclusive access to daily. So do not wait any longer. Use code REALWORD and join the thousands of agents taking their business to the next level today. Code REALWORD for 10% off. I'll see you in BAMX.